Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the Hulk needs no introduction as one of the founding pillars of the Marvel Universe. Also known as Bruce Banner, the Hulk has had one of the most tumultuous story arcs in the world of superheroes, and he has somehow managed to emerge on top, no matter what situation he finds himself in. He also underwent a whole lot of personality changes over the years, and today we will be deep diving into some of his crucial story arcs and personality characteristics, and touch base on some of his most fascinating powers and alternate versions. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Bruce Banner, and how did he become the Hulk? Born to Dr. Brian Banner and Rebecca, Bruce Banner lived quite a chaotic childhood due to his father's obsession with atomic science. While Bruce was well taken care of and deeply loved by Rebecca, Brian was skeptical that his research had altered his genetic structure and that this would reflect in his behavior. He was convinced that Bruce would start showing signs of genetic abnormalities even though he was a gifted, intelligent child. Brian was also quite abusive towards Rebecca and Bruce, and he even killed Rebecca when she was trying to run away with Bruce. This incident ended with Brian's arrest, and a traumatized Bruce was then left in the care of his aunt, Mrs. Drake. He grew up to be a social outcast, and it took him a whole lot of time to recover from witnessing his mother's abuse and eventual murder. He did pursue higher education and eventually enrolled in a nuclear physics course at the California Institute of Technology. Soon enough, he started working with the U.S. military in New Mexico under General Thunderbolt Ross's leadership. They were working at a secret desert base to test Bruce's new invention, the gamma bomb, where Bruce also met the general's daughter, Betty, and formed quite an intimate connection with her. Unfortunately, things took a turn for the worse on the day of the first test detonation when Bruce observed that a civilian had breached the security. While he tried to delay the detonation countdown, his colleague, Igor, was secretly a Soviet agent who was rooting for Bruce to die in the explosion. When Igor did not delay the countdown, Bruce jumped into the test area and rescued the civilian, but he was unlucky enough to be caught in the midst of the detonation himself. As the gamma bomb exploded, Bruce's body was irradiated with high-intensity radioactive particles, and he ended up dying an unnatural death. However, the gamma bomb had created a metaphysical barrier that connected Earth with the bottommost layer of the multiverse through the green door, which brought him back to life. In fact, he was back in the mortal world in such a short time that his death was not even officially registered. But he lost his human physiology and returned as a mutated being. He appeared as a gigantic, gray-skinned humanoid monster, and General Ross then labeled him as the Hulk, an iconic character who would change the course of Marvel Comics. What happened during Planet Hulk? The Hulk did go through a series of story arcs where he was affiliated with all sorts of organizations, but the Planet Hulk era marked his decision to seek refuge in Alaska. He lived in complete isolation and only wandered in the town community for basic needs, but his hermit life came to an end when Nick Fury eventually tracked him down. At this time, Fury was affiliated with S.H.I.E.L.D., and they needed the Hulk's help in defeating the God's Eye, a Hydra weapon capable of detonating nuclear bombs. As the Hulk stepped up to the task of battling the God's Eye, the latter realized that he was no match for the mighty Green Beast. While the God's Eye ended up exploding, the Hulk was counting on S.H.I.E.L.D. to send a space shuttle to bring him back. However, a superhero team called the Illuminati got to him first and decided to send him off to a planet with no intelligent life forms. While they hoped that this would ensure that the Hulk could never get back, a navigation error caused him to land on Sakaar instead. Here, he was exposed to a world of gladiator battles, and he was initially labeled as a gladiator before he started an uprising and overthrew the current regime. He then established himself as the King, and also got involved with Kara, the Old Strong, and the two ruled over Sakaar for ages. While Kara was pregnant with the Hulk's child, the shuttle that got him to Sakaar in the first place exploded out of nowhere and claimed several lives, including Kara. An enraged Hulk blamed the Illuminati for this incident, and he allied with the Warbound to travel to Earth in an alien warship. What led to World War Hulk? As he traveled with the Warbound, they arrived on the moon and immediately faced Skrull, who was impersonating one of the Illuminati members, Black Bolt. The Hulk then traveled to New York City and declared that they must evacuate the place since it had been infiltrated by the Illuminati. Iron Man and the rest of the Avengers then tried to subdue the Hulk, but this only resulted in more chaos and the Avengers Tower was destroyed during the clash. While these heroes were at a loss for how to deal with the Hulk and the Warbound, General Ross stepped in and summoned the U.S. Army to take care of him. However, the Hulk managed to defeat the government officers as well, and then converted the areas near Madison Square Garden into gladiator rings. Finally, Doctor Strange brought in the big guns by enlisting the help of the demonic Zom, even if it meant that the demon might overtake Strange's body. While Strange started acting like Zom in some ways, he did manage to send the Hulk crashing through a building filled with citizens. At this moment, the Hulk saved these innocent lives and turned the situation on Strange, who learned a bitter lesson about safeguarding residents' lives before launching an attack. He then proceeded to defeat Doctor Strange and also fit obedience discs into almost all of these superheroes so that they could fight each other in his gladiator rings. While he initially declared that they must fight each other, he eventually spared their lives and was soon taken aback when Sentry arrived at the scene to fight him. Their face-off had a catastrophic impact on New York City, and they had such a hard time defeating each other that both of them ended the fight by reverting to their human forms. While Bruce Banner was victorious in the end, he was taken aback when one of the Warbound members named Mayak revealed that the deaths on Sakaar were a result of the Red King's actions, and that the Illuminati had no role to play in it. The Hulk could not bear this betrayal, and he attacked Mayak with such force that he accidentally released threatening energy into the Earth's atmosphere. Finally, Tony Stark had no option but to use his enhanced technology on the Hulk and render him unconscious while S.H.I.E.L.D. agents captured and imprisoned him in an underground facility. What is the Immortal Hulk era about? In another story arc, Bruce Banner used his alter ego to absorb the radiation from an experimental fusion reactor, even if it meant that his body could detonate at any given point. This Immortal Hulk era would be impossible without Amadeus Cho's help, as he used special nanites to save his life and also help him regain his powers. At this point, Bruce Banner was technically gamma-free, and this prompted him to experiment with gamma-irradiated cells at a personal lab in Utah. Soon enough, an inhuman precognitive called Ulysses Kane got wind of Bruce's experiments and foretold his future as the Hulk. Kane's suggestions prompted superheroes such as Hawkeye to confront him and even shoot him in the head with a specialized arrow. Later, it was revealed that Banner had himself requested Hawkeye to shoot him with that arrow if he was in any danger of transforming into the Hulk in the future. After these events, a ninja group known as the Hand stole his body and brought him back to life as a mindless creature. However, one of Voodoo's magical doorways allowed a sorceress to cleanse the Hulk's soul and send him back to his dead state without disturbing his spirit. This was only the start of many experiments that brought him back to life, and Hydra's lead scientist, Arnim Zola, was the next person to try to resurrect Banner and use him against the Underground. While Banner had always refused to assist them, Zola's version of a temporarily resurrected Hulk was more than happy to help them out, even if he died by the end of the mission. Hydra abandoned their body under the ruins of the Mount, which eventually gave way to his third resurrection at the hands of the Challenger. Also known as a former Elder of the Universe, the Challenger hoped that the Hulk would help him fight his peers to obtain the final Pyramoid on Earth. Much to his surprise, the Hulk was more than up for this challenge, as he had assumed assumed that the Earth would be destroyed anyway, and this would be an easy way out for him. At this point, Bruce Banner realized that the Hulk was essentially an immortal being, and that all these resurrections had to amount to something larger than just mere coincidences. While trying to retrieve the Pyramoid, the Hulk ended up destroying the Pyramoid in an attempt to subdue the fight and restore peace on Earth. He then went undercover to ensure that people still believed that he was dead and embarked on a journey across the country to help those in need. During this journey, Immortal Hulk's personality faded, while the Devil Hulk dominated his psyche, but we shall explore this in greater detail in due time. What are the key personalities of the Hulk? Besides the Devil Hulk, the Hulk was said to have about 100 possible personalities, and a few of them have been introduced in great detail in the comics. For starters, Robert Bruce Banner was his emotionally repressed main personality, which could transform into several versions of the Hulk. One of the first Hulks to appear in the comics was the Savage Hulk, also known as the Child Hulk. This persona first came into being when he was barely 6 years old, and it was a childish version who often referred to himself in the third person. The Savage Hulk was a manifestation of all the abuse he had suffered at the hands of his father, and his opinions were a direct reflection of the rage and resentment he held in his heart. This version of the Hulk can be likened to a child, as he held immense grudges, seemed narcissistic and simple-minded, and often craved attention. He was depicted as a lonely kid who only wanted to make friends, but he struggled to communicate this and typically lashed out at anyone who tried to get close to him. Another popular version of the Hulk was Joe Fixit, also known as the Gray Hulk. He was not as smart as his other versions, and he could be quite hedonistic and arrogant in nature. Joe Fixit can be best likened to a teenage version of Banner, and he often rebelled and went through moody phases. Some sources cited that this persona reached his peak strength during the new moon, but over time, Joe could only operate in sunlight. Over time, we were introduced to the Merged Hulk, also known as the Professor. This version was a mix between Banner's other personalities as well as the Savage Hulk and the Gray Hulk. He was known as one of the most stable Hulks and had a much higher strength level than other Hulk incarnations. After the Hulk's many resurrections, an unnamed Hulk persona stirred up a whole lot of trouble due to his limitless rage and bloodlust. However, the Avengers defeated him, and the Devil Hulk then shut him down deep within Banner's subconsciousness. The Devil Hulk might have been one of his most ferocious personas, but the Fractured Sun soon replaced him as one of his most twisted versions. Known for appearing right after Banner's demise, the Fractured Sun was a voracious, brutal persona who can also be described as an antagonist to his host body. This version often went out of his way to make Banner's transformations as painful as possible, and the Fractured Sun held so much power that he managed to inflict pain on the mighty Thanos. What are the Hulk's most impressive powers and abilities? First and foremost, the Hulk was known for his gamma-mutant physiology that transformed his musculature and added about 800 pounds of bone marrow and tissue to his existing physique. He was known as one of the most powerful entities in the whole Marvel universe, and the Initiative even classified him as an Omega-level threat. The gamma radiation also allowed him to use his body like a gamma battery that could create and emit energy to power devices or fire blasts. The Hulk could also absorb gamma energy by draining other beings of their powers and then using it to grow in size. He once absorbed the energy from a bunch of nuclear bombs to grow larger than Fin Fang Foom, and his gamma radiation could potentially also harm those in his vicinity. These gamma radiations also helped the Hulk to create optic blasts. It was said that the Hulk had limitless physical strength and that his rage only helped him grow stronger. His strength strength is said to be immeasurable, and he was often recognized as one of the strongest mortals by beings such as the Skrulls, the Silver Surfer, and the Skyfather Odin. As an extension of his superhuman strength, the Hulk could leap across great distances, and he once even traveled over 1,000 miles in a single jump. He could also exhale air at such enhanced speed that he could knock people out or slam his hands together with such force that he created sonic vibrations and hurricanes. The Hulk's body could keep going for extended periods of time without feeling the effect of fatigue toxins, and his superhuman stamina kept on increasing with an increase in his anger. He had superhuman speed, and his mighty speedy legs helped him surpass most human athletes as well as aircrafts in terms of speed. Despite his giant physique, he was also known for his agility and remarkable reflexes, and he could easily dodge most attacks coming his way in the blink of an eye. On a different note, the Hulk was capable of perceiving astral spirits and ghosts, and he could even interact with them to a great extent. He had an excellent sense of direction that allowed him to locate places across dimensions, and he could even read through people's lies. The Hulk was also known for his enduring willpower, excellent combat skills, and self-restraint to ensure he did not accidentally destroy the entire planet. Among other things, Hulk was known for being multilingual, and he learned a bunch of languages, such as Austro-Bavarian and Russian. How does the Hulk's immortality work? Hulk's retroactive immortality largely relies on the Green Door, which brought him back to life every single time he ended up in a fatal accident. For instance, the Green Door opened when he was killed by the gamma bomb, and the Hulk could easily walk through the door to resurrect himself. Of course, this is only possible due to the Hulk's immense urge to return to life, as Bruce Banner would prefer to be at peace instead. Even when the Green Door had been shut by the One Below All, Banner returned to life after he was stabbed in the heart, and the literal embodiment of death declared that he was beyond her reach. Besides being blessed with immortality, the Hulk's connection to the below place allowed him to self-regenerate and put himself back together through willpower, if nothing else. He had command over his own recovery rate, and he had often demonstrated the ability to regenerate body tissues and internal organs and heal within no time. The Hulk even recovered from the Omega-level biokinetic named Exler's death touch, as well as Scorpion's chemical poisoning. In addition, the Hulk was immune to all forms of diseases and effects of aging, and he had complete control over his body parts. What equipment and weapons does Bruce Banner use? While Bruce had invented a range of weapons as part of Banner tech, some key weapons were a stun gun called the Old Power Taser and an electro-discharging pistol called the Banner Tech Stun Gun. The Old Power Taser combined a classic old gun's powers with Bruce's gamma rays, and it was so powerful that its impact was measured on the Richter scale. The Hulk once used this gun to send Wolverine flying across the street, and at a higher intensity, the gun was capable of killing superhumans. The Banner Tech Stun Gun was a much milder tool that could be used to paralyze his opponents, and Banner typically used it against the Red Hulk, among other people. What makes the Devil Hulk unique among Hulk personas? Also known as the Immortal Hulk, the Devil Hulk first emerged as a protective father figure persona to compensate for the lack of love he received in his childhood. However, things were not as simple as they seemed, and the Devil Hulk soon took the form of a demonic reptile after struggling to imagine the concept of love without pain. After Bruce's death during the Second Superhuman Civil War, the Devil Hulk dominated over all his other personas after his resurrection and established himself as his main personality. He was known as an intelligent, cunning being who acted without having any second thoughts and did not think much about inflicting harm upon others. While other Hulk personas were a tad bit impatient, the Devil Hulk patiently waited until it was time for him to emerge and take control of the situation. He only transformed in critical moments when Bruce was fatally injured, but Bruce helped him overcome this tendency over time. He was one of the Hulk's strongest personas, and he once fractured Thor's skull and sent She-Hulk flying for about 2 miles before she crashed. The Devil Hulk later overloaded the Black Panther's Panther habit, destroyed the Iron Man's Hulkbuster armor, and defeated the likes of Thor and Hercules. He also stood out among other Hulk personas due to his incredible regenerative abilities, and it took him barely any time to heal a giant hole in his torso. He even glued his body back together after being cut up into pieces, and he had a fascinating ability to move his body parts even when they were separated from his body. The Devil Hulk often expressed his innate desire to destroy humanity, and Bruce had often hoped to get rid of this persona by setting him free. While the Green Scar persona had managed to trap the Devil Hulk in a mental prison, he somehow managed to break free, but he was soon destroyed by Stearns. Bruce was overwhelmed by a sense of guilt after he was gone, but he soon learned that some parts of the Devil Hulk had been absorbed by Joe Fixit. Over time, Bruce managed to unite all his alters and revealed that the Devil Hulk, or the Immortal Hulk, was among those couple of personas that had remained active after all these years. How does the Hulk resist mental and physical attacks? The Hulk has developed great resistance to psychic attacks as a result of his personality disorder, and he first demonstrated this ability when he resisted Cyclops' attempt to hypnotize him. The Hulk also managed to survive an encounter with the Leader, who overpowered him with information in an attempt to kill him. However, the Hulk easily survived the information overload and even dug through it to discover that Rick Jones might be in danger. The Hulk once withstood Zenmu the Living Titan's telepathic assault, and he even placed a mental block on Doctor Strange so that he could overwhelm his psyche. He was also known as the only one who could still remember Sentry even after the latter had used his psychic powers to erase all traces of his memories. His immunity against psychic attacks also made him invulnerable to the Stranger, Professor X, the Ringmaster, Selene, and the Shaper of Worlds, as he had proved on numerous occasions. The Hulk was not just all brains. He was also known for his excellent physical durability and mental resilience. All the gamma radiation exposure had strengthened him beyond belief, and he could withstand the most painful attacks, injuries, or diseases without blinking an eye. His skin was hardened to a point where regular blades barely grazed him, and he once even removed adhesive X that was stuck to his skin without sustaining any scars. The Hulk had also survived bullets, grenade shrapnel, Hawkeye's specialized arrows, Valkyrie's Dragonfang blade, several energy blasts, extreme temperatures, and high-impact explosions that could shatter entire planets. There have been many instances where the Hulk survived Hercules' most powerful punches or Galactus' mighty blasts, and he also emerged unharmed after interactions with beings such as Zeus, Cyclops, Sentry, and the Abomination. The Hulk's durability was enhanced when he felt a powerful surge of rage, demonstrated in his fights against Wolverine and Captain Marvel. In these situations, his skin was more hardened than usual to ensure that Wolverine or Black Panther's adamantium and vibranium lace claws could not pierce through him. What are the Hulk's weaknesses? For starters, the Hulk was known for his vulnerability to gamma radiation, and he often needed to revert to his human persona to recharge his gamma energy stores. However, he managed to develop a high immunity to gamma radiation over time, and he once displayed this ability in his fights against Darwin. On the same note, the Hulk was not immune to the effects of cosmic radiation, which often contrasts with the effects of gamma radiation. The UFOs once managed to kill him with the help of these cosmic rays, but this eventually worked against them as too much exposure to these rays turned him into the Red Hulk and brought him back to life. Exposure to toxic substances such as the Scorpion's toxin, copious amounts of gas, or adrenaline inhibitors could also knock him out temporarily. The Hulk was further known for his vulnerability to adamantium and vibranium blades, and Wolverine and Black Panther had often exploited this weakness to defeat him in battle. Some characters, such as Betty Ross, Sentry, and Randall Jessup, also had the ability to neutralize his rage and calm him down, while other notable cosmic entities could subdue him through mental manipulation. The Hulk also had an inherent weakness to dark magic, and he could be easily injured by enchanted weapons as opposed to normal weapons. At the end of the day, his contrasting personas were also a major weakness, especially when both Banner and the Hulk tried to dominate each other in a shared body. How did Banner's intellect shape his journey? Even before his transformation into the Hulk, Bruce Banner was known as a genius in his field. His knowledge of nuclear physics, among other things, surpassed everyone, and it was impossible to measure his intellect through psychological tests. Banner was smart enough to reprogram any computer system in a moment's time, or even infect them with viruses that were impossible to counter. Even Tony Stark declared him as one of the best minds on the planet, and Banner was estimated to be the fourth most intelligent person on the planet. Dr. Doom, MODOK, Reed Richards, and Nick Fury had also commented on his intellect, and Bruce's opinions were also well respected in other fields, such as architecture, engineering, and biology. What is the relationship between Banner and his alters? Due to the abuse and trauma he had suffered in his childhood, Banner had developed dissociative identity disorder, and his mind had turned host to several alternate personalities. His psyche was filled with at least 3 main identities at all times, all of them representing a strange manifestation of his thoughts. Eventually, his psyche underwent a drastic transformation after he turned into the Hulk, resulting in the creation of many alternate forms that we explored a bit earlier in the video. During the incident, the gamma rays had reached the innermost parts of his collective unconsciousness, prompting him to develop obsessive-compulsive tendencies as well as anger issues. While he typically tried to isolate himself from others to deal with his emotions, the alternate personalities in his head made it quite difficult for him to find a moment's peace. However, Banner had gotten quite used to the relationship with his alters, and he even resorted to sadistic, insane acts when he was temporarily separated from the Hulk. At the end of the day, both these personas claimed to hate one another, but they also typically worked in cohesion despite all their differences. Over time, the Immortal Hulk even showed compassion and care towards the Banner persona, and Bruce managed to get a hold of the chaos in his mind. How does the Hulk adapt to extreme situations? According to one of Nick Fury's life model decoys, Hulk was capable of adapting to space's inhabitable environment due to the inherent nature of his mutation. He could not only survive in oxygen-deprived environments such as space, but he could also hold full-length conversations and breathe normally. Some sources suggested that he did not need to breathe, and he adapted to environments such as the ocean floor by harmonizing his biological structure and developing specialized glands. These glands created an oxygenated perfluorocarbon emulsion that filled up his respiratory organs and equalized the air pressure, enabling him to breathe even in fluid bodies. Besides adapting to space and ocean bodies, the Hulk could adapt to a wide variety of hostile habitats, and this ability was only enhanced with increasing intensity of rage. How does the Hulk balance strength and intelligence? The Hulk was certainly one of the most powerful creatures in the Marvel Universe, and he was also quite a versatile combatant, skilled in various martial arts as well as combat arms such as spears, shields, and broadswords. The Hulk had stood his ground against accomplished warriors such as Thor, Hercules, and the Blob. While he might appear as an intimidating opponent due to his sheer size, the Hulk often relied on his intelligence to anticipate his prey's weaknesses and then use it against them. Bruce Banner's brain greatly influenced the Hulk's brawn, especially when it came to showing restraint and knowing where to draw the line. In fact, the Hulk himself stated that Bruce's constant constraints were the sole reason he had not destroyed Earth by now. There were many such instances where the Hulk was compelled to balance his strength with intelligence, such as when he regulated the potency of his attack against Thor, who took took the fight outside resident buildings to prevent any casualties against the Sandman. This was a well-known hypothesis in the Marvel Universe, and Professor X confirmed it when he scanned the Hulk's mind and discovered that Banner was in control of all decisions. While Banner calmly ensured that the Hulk did not go overboard with his strength on most occasions, he also stimulated him to show strength beyond his usual capacities in dire situations. He once did this in a fight against Thor and Iron Man by tricking the Hulk into thinking that he was in a simulation and that his punches would not have any real-world consequences. How did Banner's innovations change the game? There is no question that Banner is an incredibly intelligent being, and he had many inventions to his name to establish the same. He was quite innovative, and he invented several pieces of equipment under Banner tech. For instance, he had a mobile operating system that could be controlled through the mind and a pocket teleporter in his satchel, which allowed him to grab items from his lab without having to travel back and forth. Banner had also invented a molecular repulsion field to levitate mid-air and a mini electromagnetic pulse beat to attack his opponents. Banner once created a gamma dome generator to protect him from any incoming attacks and even redirect the energy of these attacks to enhance his own strength. Banner Tech's nanoparticles were also known for their ability to hack and disable any weapons, in addition to spy bots known as flycy cams that could scan and run advanced diagnoses on anyone in his vicinity. After joining hands with S.H.I.E.L.D., Banner invented a bunch of technological gadgets ranging from a purification unit to prevent waterborne diseases to a catalytic converter that prevented cancer among smokers. He also designed his own suit that was fixed with technology that allowed him to breathe in space and other impossible environments, in addition to a contact lens that could easily work as a computer system within his eyes. After he lost his ability to transform into the Hulk, Bruce reverse-engineered some of the leader's teleportation technology to move from one place to another. How do other heroes view the Hulk? For the most part, the Avengers truly got along with one another and were careful not to bring up any touchy topics that might agitate the Hulk. He was on good terms with Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and even other superheroes such as Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, and he often allied with them to save the world or defeat any common opponents. The Hulk had become such an integral part of the team that the others viewed him as an ally even when he lost his cool and tried to find the best way to calm him down without harming him in any way. They approached him cautiously and devised a systematic approach to stopping him whenever he went on a rampage. For instance, Doc Samson, Hercules, the Thunderbolts, and Spider-Man were once tasked with stopping the Hulk on Earth 616 while he was trying to destroy New York City, while Thor and the Thing dealt with the same nuisance with the Banner Hulk on Counter-Earth. However, they managed to subdue the situation, and Doctor Strange even managed to merge the Hulk with Banner and bring him back to Earth 616 at the end of the day. Who is stronger, Hulk or Thing? While some fans suggest that the Thing is a better fighter than the Hulk, there is no doubt that the Hulk can easily overpower him. Even though they are both known for their strength, the Hulk has the ability to exponentially grow in terms of strength with no upper limit, while the Thing's powers have an upper limit of pressing up to 100 tons. When facing each other, the Thing will always tire out and eventually surrender, and the Hulk had quite a history of defeating him time and again. In fact, the Thing himself talked about this in a comic sequence where he commented on how people keep arguing about whether he is stronger than the Hulk. He then stated that the Hulk is way stronger, even according to him, and that he is most likely to die in a proper fight against him. If the Thing has himself talked about how he does not stand a chance against the Hulk, there is no more room for discussion, and we can conclude that our mighty green superhero is certainly stronger. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we have explored some of Hulk's most terrifying personas, as well as all the events that shaped him into the magnificent beast that he is, ranging from his exile to Sakaar to story arcs where he explored the meaning of mortality and cosmic horror. We hope you enjoyed diving into his life in greater detail. He has also spiced things up with his numerous forms, such as the Devil Hulk and Savage Hulk, and we would love to hear your thoughts on his numerous personalities and powers in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Thanks, everyone.